Happy New Year! According to Redfin, this year in 2024, buyers could actually catch a break. But is that true? With affordability where it's at or lack thereof, how is this even possible? And what would need to change in order to actually give buyers a break? Well, let's start with mortgage rates. If you have been following mortgage rates, you may be surprised to see that we actually ended 2023 around the same place where we started, about 6.5%. We had a bit of a wild roller coaster ride, just climbing and climbing and climbing until we peaked at about 8% in October and then rapidly came down to end the year. Now, there have been predictions that these lower rates would bring out the buyers, and I gotta say, we might be beginning to see that here in Phoenix. I'm going to show you the data on that in a minute. Now, we're moving into Q1 with hopes that the Fed will cut interest rates the first half of this year. But as we all know, economic curveballs could totally change these predictions. If everything remains on course and we continue to see inflation coming down, we'll likely see mortgage rates start to come down with that. So according to Redfin, the 2024 buying season will be better than 2023, and here's how. They anticipate that mortgage rates will begin to come down this year and that the Fed will cut the federal funds rate during the first half of the year. But just because rates come down doesn't mean that will solve our affordability problem. Now, they said that their Redfin agents have seen more homeowners talking to them about wanting to sell in 2024. So they do expect resale inventory to increase. And if you combine lower rates with more homes for sale, that could really unfreeze the housing market. The key here is that they are anticipating an increase in supply over demand, and that will affect home prices. But not by much. They're only anticipating about a home price decline of 1% in 2024. So if you're a home buyer on the sidelines, 2024 could be your year, or at least according to Redfin. So what about Phoenix? Are we seeing the same trends? Well, no. Let's look at prices. Before I get there, if this is helpful to you, make sure to hit the like button and share this with someone who would find it valuable. If you look at the monthly average sales price per square foot here in Phoenix, you'll notice that we ended 2023 about 6.4% higher than we ended 2022. So that trend is not in favor of buyers right now. And if we continue to see mortgage rates go down, I think we're going to see more price appreciation this year. Now, Redfin also said that they had a lot of their agents talking to more sellers about selling their home in 2024. We can't see that actual data here in Phoenix, but let's see where our active listings are at as we begin the new year. The latest I have, of course, is from the last week of 2023, but we're about 15,000 listings on the market. And you can see this has only gone down since about that October-November timeframe, which is not unusual. We typically have a lot less activity during the holidays. So this is something we'll want to keep an eye on in January and February to see if more sellers are deciding to list their homes. Now, I mentioned we're starting to see some buyers come off the sidelines. So let's take a look at what happened with supply and demand over the last week. We actually had our demand go up by about 1% and supply go down by about 1%. So even though it was really small over the last week, it's still a trend in that direction. You'll also notice that the CMI overall went up at 108. That's about a 3% increase from last week when we were at 105. Now, it's not unusual for supply to go down over a holiday week, and this is only 1 week's trend, so it's way too soon to tell that this is actually going to continue as we get into January. However, if this continues, this is the trend we need to see in order to have prices increase, not decrease. For any of you that are new here, the Cromford Market Index helps us see supply and demand in the market, and a number of 108 just means we're in a balanced market. Anything between 90 to 110 means that we are in a balanced market. Over 110, we're in a seller's market, and under 90, a buyer's market. Now let's look at all of these cities, and you are going to be shocked to see how many green arrows we have this week. The overall change that we've seen with all of these cities over the last week is about a 2% increase, whereas last week it was a 3% decrease. Out of the 17 major cities, 13 of them have moved in a direction favorable for sellers. So all of these green arrows mean that the CMI increased in that city, meaning that sellers got a bit of an advantage over buyers. The red arrows, and there's only 4 of them left now, means that those cities moved in a direction favorable for buyers. Now, like I said, anything over 110 is considered a seller's market. And so if we look on this chart here, we've got Avondale all the way through Chandler, technically in a seller's market. Tempe all the way down to Surprise are in a balanced market, and Cave Creek down to Maricopa are in a buyer's market. Now, if you've been following my videos for the last few weeks, we have seen a lot of red arrows on this chart. So this is the most green arrows we've seen in quite a while, which really signifies some strength in the market of future price appreciation and us moving further towards a seller's market. Whether or not this will hold, time will tell. And I think we need to get a little bit further into January to really start to see if this is a trend. Now, if you're a buyer and you're taking to heart that Redfin article, thinking this is going to be your year to buy a home, make sure to check the description. We've got a link where you can search our MLS for homes for sale. And don't forget to check out this video where I talk about the most shocking things buyers find when they move to the Phoenix area.